Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today it is all about World Cup qualifiers. Yes, once again, the November editions, and today it's about Asia World Cup qualifiers. Group A, we have Iran and South Korea who've taken a little bit of control and they will bolster their chances maybe after the November matches. Group B, we have Saudi Arabia who are still on 12 points, perfect record, have won every match. They're looking to take full control of that group. Japan, Oman still trying to keep up with Australia for second place in the group. But these are all things we're going to find out in the November editions. Remember, guys, if you're new around here, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let me know your predictions for the games in the Asia World Cup qualifiers November matches. Let's get straight into the predictions. So we have Group A. Group A looks like this so far. Iran on 10 points after 4 games, South Korea on 8 points. So these two would directly qualify to the World Cup. Lebanon, the surprise package in Group A after picking up a victory over Syria, in third place with 5 points. Then UAE, Iraq, both on 3 points. They have had 3 draws so far. They haven't won a match. Then Syria at the bottom with 1 point. They haven't picked up a win either. They have 1 draw so far. So it's going to get interesting then after November. It could look like that South Korea and Iran take full control of this group, or could we get a surprise here? Who knows? Let's hope for some surprises. It's always nice to see some new teams debut at the World Cup. But first off, we have South Korea versus UAE. UAE, who have been a little bit of the disappointing team in this group. You expect a little bit better under their manager, Bert van Marwijk, who's a very experienced World Cup qualifying manager, but their defense is not the greatest. They have great attackers, Ali Makbul, Kao, these sort of guys, but the defense is not the greatest. For South Korea, Paulo Bento, we know he's a very good manager, but I've talked about many times that the striker play for South Korea is just not good enough. Hwang Hyo-jo, he hasn't even been called up for South Korea, who's the normal striker, so they're relying on 2 K-League players to get them the goals. Obviously, we know about Heung-min Son, Hwang Hee-chan, these sort of guys. So the problem with South Korea is they just don't score enough. They can keep a lead, they can keep a clean sheet, but they just cannot score enough. They can't kill off teams. Now, for this game between South Korea and UAE, this is the second last home game for South Korea. The last one will be against Iran, I think, next year sometime. So South Korea have to win this game because then the rest of the games are going to be away. I think South Korea will get the win here. It will be a 1-0 win over the UAE. Then we have Iraq versus Syria. Iraq, who have actually called up 6 or more expat players for the first time ever. So if that's true, you guys can let me know in the comment section down below. But I believe that is true, and that's a very improving thing for Iraq. So bolster their squad more. And then for Syria, it's been a terrible time for Syria. They have only picked up 1 win. You would have thought they would have been Lebanon at home, or well, home, I say. They played in Jordan the game. So it's been a struggle for Syria. Al Samal, Karabin, they can score all the goals, but if the defense doesn't keep a clean sheet, that's the problem. For this game, Iraq, Dick Advocat's under massive pressure to get a result here. It's, they've had 3 draws, but they haven't looked very convincing in any of the games. Against UAE, it was a struggle. They had the 2-1 lead, and then they gave it up in the 94th minute. Iraq, they could have even lost the game at the end because UAE had a glorious chance. So I think I'm going to sit on the fence here. 1-1 draw between Iraq and Syria. Then we have Lebanon versus Iran. And Lebanon have been the surprise package of these Asia World Cup qualifiers, along with Oman. After picking up the victory over Syria, Lebanon are high and flying under their manager, Ivan Hasek. So let's see if Iran can, kill off Lebanon with a 2-0 lead and then just clean slate from there. I think that will happen. I think Iran are going to comfortably win this game. Lebanon will cause some trouble, but I don't think enough trouble. When we think of players like Taremi, Jahanbash, Azmoun, they have been on glorious form for their clubs in Europe. So I think Iran are they're too strong for Lebanon at this point. I think it's going to be a 2-0 win for Iran in this game. And then we move on to the other matches in November, 16th of November. We have Iraq versus South Korea, and this could be a struggle for South Korea. The match will be played in Doha, so not in Iraq. But I still believe that South Korea will win this game, even though Dick Advocat will be a little bit more defensive maybe against South Korea, where they'll keep the ball more. But I think South Korea will get another narrow win. I'm going to say a 2-1 win for South Korea. Then we have Syria versus Iran. This could get interesting because the first time these two teams met, I think it was an Iran win. Yep, 1-0. So I expect maybe the same sort of scoreline between Syria and Iran. It could be a 1-0, 2-1 win for Iran. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win for Iran. Then we have Lebanon versus the UAE. Now, I'm just not impressed by the UAE. Yes, they have good attackers, but the defense is not greatest. And I've talked about that before already. And then Lebanon, they just got an amazing result. Absolutely amazing result. I don't think it's going to continue. I think it's going to be maybe a struggle. I'll go with a 1-1 draw here. I just can't pick a winner out of these two teams. So that is the outlook of Group A, and we move on then to Group B of the Asia World Cup qualifiers, where we have Saudi Arabia on a perfect record, 4 wins out of 4. Australia right behind them after losing to Japan. That was their first loss with 9 points, and Oman. Japan on 6 points. China on 3 points, and poor old Vietnam at the bottom. They just cannot keep a clean sheet. The defense is not the greatest for Vietnam. So let's look at the matches heading into November. We have Australia versus Saudi Arabia, and this match will be played in Sydney, the Western Sydney Stadium, home of the Western Sydney Wanderers. Now, can Australia take advantage of that? I don't know if there's going to be a crowd in Australia. You guys can let me know if you're Australian in the comments section if there is going to be a crowd there. But it's great that Australia can actually finally play a home match. Now, Australia, they did not look the greatest against Japan. Like, they were just slow with play. Obviously, Mabil didn't even start the match, and I was very critical of that. I thought Mabil should have at least started. He didn't. I don't think Rogic is even called up to the squad, the Celtic player. So they're going to have to rely on Martin Boyle, like I talked about Mabil. Let's see if Matthew Leckie can start a game. I doubt he will. Then they're going to have to rely on Hudustic from Eintracht Frankfurt. I'm not too sure because Saudi Arabia under Hervé Renard, they're absolute fire at the moment. When we think of guys like Salah Al-Shareri, Fahad Al-Mawalad, Saudi Arabia are very, very impressive. They're going to have to travel far to Australia, which could cause some trouble, but this is a tough match to call. This is a tough match because Saudi Arabia have looked very impressive. Even though defensively they haven't looked the greatest, but they can keep a clean sheet like they did against Japan, Saudi Arabia. I'm so impressed by Hervé Renard. He is such a great international manager. I think I'm going to sit on the fence here, though. I'll go with the 1-1 draw. I just can't pick a winner because Saudi Arabia have played good away, but when they went away to Oman, they were hanging on in the last couple of minutes. So I'll go with the 1-1 draw. Then we have Vietnam versus Japan. I mean, after Japan beating Australia, that was a massive victory for them because they were under massive pressure to win that game. Ken Furuhashi, he scores a lot of goals for Celtic. Can he now equate that to international football? Let's see. For Vietnam, I mean, defensively, they're just not good. They're just not good. Park Hang-seo, the manager of Vietnam, I think they just got to prepare for themselves. This is good learning experience heading into the World Cup qualifiers for 2026. I think this is the process that Vietnam have to go to. I think they're going to have a good chance of qualifying for the 2026 World Cup because they have actually a young squad. When you think of Nguyen Quang Hai, only 24. You have Nguyen Thuy Linh, he's only 24. And these guys have scored a lot of goals in the World Cup qualifiers so far. The match will be played in Hanoi. I don't know if there's a crowd there. They're playing Japan. I think Japan, after getting the victory over Australia, that's a massive confidence booster. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Japan in this game. Then we have China versus Oman, and China actually played very well in the last edition. They had a crazy result against Vietnam where they gave up the 2-0 lead. Then they scored in the 95th minute under Wu Lei. And then they went to Saudi Arabia. They gave a good match, only losing 3-2. They had some chances in that game, but Saudi Arabia always were going to be comfortable. So China are actually no joke for Oman, after beating Vietnam. And we know that's going to happen, even though there was a dodgy penalty call in that game. And then they lost 3-1 away to Australia. But Oman are just a tricky side at the moment. They're a very tricky side. We know about their manager, Branko Ivankovic. He's a very good international manager as well. So this match is obviously not going to be played in China. None of the games will be played in China because of COVID, of course. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Oman. I think they're going to continue their good hot streak so far. I've been very impressed by them and their style of play. So I'll go with the 2-1 win for Oman. Then we have China versus Australia. We know that about the first time these two teams met, it was an absolute pummeling from Australia against China. It was a 3-0 win for Australia. I don't think it's going to be that sort of scoreline, but we'll go with a 2-0 win for Australia. Then we have Oman versus Japan, and this is a chance for Japan to get some revenge on Oman because Oman beat Japan 2-1 on the first match day. Or was it 2-1 or 1-0? Sorry, guys. Let me just quickly check. I think it was 1-0. All right, it was 1-0 from Al-Sabi's late goal. Now, Oman are a pretty good home side. They gave a great match to Saudi Arabia at home. The crowd's going to be electric for it, trying to get a good result against Japan. Because if Oman could beat Japan, then it could get interesting if Japan even qualifies to the World Cup. Because then Oman, Australia, and Saudi Arabia will have the top 3 spots. So Japan are going to be in good momentum, but it's away in Oman. I'll go with the 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Then we have Vietnam versus Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia are obviously going to play 2 away matches in this international break. They're playing Vietnam. We know Vietnam are defensively not that good. Hervé Renard's squad are going to be ready for it. They're going to continue their good form. I'm going to go with a 3-1 win for Saudi Arabia away at Hanoi. So these are the predictions, guys, for the Asia World Cup qualifiers, November edition. I want to hear your guys' predictions for the World Cup qualifiers in the comment section down below. Should be enthralling. I think after this match day 5, match day 6, we're going to really see who are going to qualify for the World Cup, especially in Group A. I think the top two in Iran and South Korea are going to really bolster their chances. And in Group A, I think Group B, that Saudi Arabia will really, enhance their chances of qualifying to the World Cup as well. And then it will be a 3-way battle for the second place and the second direct spot to the World Cup. So these are my predictions, guys. If you're new around here, subscribe to the channel, like the video. Have a beautiful day. Enjoy the World Cup qualifiers edition of Asia for the November matches. Have a beautiful day, guys. Peace out and